VocalEye Almost Live Zoom, Literary Cabaret, hosted by Amy Amantea, with special guest Sarah Wang.
So welcome to the VocalEye Almost Live event. My name is Amy Amantea. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the community outreach coordinator for VocalEye, your host for these almost live events, and a member of the blind community. And I want to just send out a big thank you to folks who have made donations and have supported VocalEye since the beginning of this virtual ambition of ours. And if you're looking for ways to continue supporting, we post a link in the chat, or you can find that at www.vocaleye.ca. And please note that it's an offering for you to use, not an obligation. And we're grateful for any support we receive. But you can also provide support in the form of a letter or a testimonial paragraph, just telling us, what it is you like about what we offer. Those things are all really helpful in supporting us being able to get some funding. And if you happen to be watching this particular event on our YouTube channel, please like and subscribe. So friends, I want to recognize that we are going to be doing something really, I think, interesting tonight. But before we get into our presentation, I want to invite our very own Deanna into the space to do our land acknowledgement. So Deanna, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Amy. Hello, everybody. My name is Deanna Jestrin, and as Amy said, I'm an intern at VocalEye this year. My family comes from the Statliam Nation near Lillooet, BC on my mother's side, and English-Welsh descent on my father's side. And my background picture today, usually I don't have a background picture, but today I felt inspired to add a background picture. And it is a lakeside scene. It's twilight, so the water is quite dark, bluish. There's some purple and pink hues still left in the sky, but you can see that nighttime is coming because it's blue. There's a fire behind me, and the fire is blowing slightly to the left. So there's a bit of a wind, and it's carrying the flames of the fire to the left. And I actually am most inspired when I'm outdoors in nature. And so it felt fitting on my second to last VocalEye Almost Live to get in this inspiring outdoor space to share my land acknowledgement. VocalEye is presenting to you today from the ancestral traditional shared territories of the Musqueam, the Tsleil-Waututh, and the Squamish First Nations. It's important to acknowledge the past, present, and future of these very strong nations, and to express my sincere gratitude that I'm able to live on the lands that have been protected and cared for by these local First Nations for thousands of years. I believe that through listening, learning, and acknowledging the historic treatment of Indigenous people in North America, or Turtle Island, as you might have heard it referred to, we can move forward in a more healing way, with compassion, empathy, respect, and intentional allyship. I view these land acknowledgements and conversations like this as an opportunity to make connections, to build future bridges and discuss what allyship can look like, because I think that's a question that a lot of people have. Okay, I understand that First Nations people experienced genocide. I understand that the culture was harmed, but what do I do about that except feel guilty, right? So it's hard to talk about these things, but it's important to talk about these things. As always, it's not just one way that we can show up for Indigenous people or demonstrate allyship. And that's why we talk about it in land acknowledgement. When a child has been hurt. I have 2 children. I work with children. I've been a teacher for 20 years. And when a child is hurt, universally, I think it's our job to help, right? Who wouldn't rush in to help a child who is struggling? We provide comfort. We listen to what happened. We listen to how the child feels, and we ask, what can I do to help? So imagine 7 generations of children who were hurt, traumatized in residential schools or day schools in Canada and the US. These children were not comforted for generations. They were not listened to, and they did not get to express their feelings. And that feeling that you feel inside right now, that's the thing to pay attention to. Okay, and it's not about shame, it's really about okay, I'm listening now, right? They were not helped and they have not experienced the healing for so many generations because the world is starting to listen just now. So this is why I feel that universally, we can all help Indigenous people to heal. We can all feel compassion, right, for their attempted cultural genocide. We can learn about colonial history. I mean, how validating is it when we have a struggle for somebody to learn about that with us, to listen to us and witness us, right? We can listen empathetically to contemporary Indigenous people's voices and experiences. What does it feel like now? I'm intergenerational. My mother was in residential school. My aunts and uncles and grandparents were in residential school. So I am the next generation, first generation out of residential school. And I need to listen because I have my own experiences, but I wasn't there. So I need to show up in a way that is present for Indigenous people. We can try to understand how it might have felt to have our own children taken away, our own culture punishable by law, and our own families and cultures torn apart and societally shamed for 7 generations. You know, I don't think we can really comprehend that, but we can try. Indigenous people need our allyship, just like any marginalized community needs allyship. It is not different, because these are the children who were not helped to heal. And I think that's where the responsibility lies. It's not about feeling shame or guilt because we weren't there. It's really about witnessing now, understanding that there's still pain, and asking the questions. What can I do? How can I learn? If we do any of the things I've offered here in this space in the past several months, we are walking the path of allyship. That's what I believe. So I just want to always express my deep gratitude for being here with you all. I learned so much. I talk about VocalEye, I talk about this community because I'm excited about what you have to say. And I'm a fly on the wall especially in the virtual lobby. You know, I'm listening and I'm interested in, and it's just a really beautiful community. And that is not different to me than Indigenous community. You know, it's all about connection. So with that, I'd like to say thank you for allowing me into this space to share with you in this way. To you, I invite you to join me if you would like to, but I lift my hands upward. My elbows are 90-degree angles with my flat palms facing toward me at eye level. And I say to you, all my relations, to acknowledge that we are all related here on Earth. Thank you so much for being here with VocalEye tonight, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Thank you, Deanna. Gosh, I'm gonna miss you when you're not in our space on a regular Wednesday, but I hope you know that you are welcome in this space every time you want to be here. So
thank you.
I hope we see you again as the months progress and you're just dropping in as community.
Yes.
All right, friends. Well, an official welcome to this Wednesday, March the 16th, 2022. Tonight, we're sharing with you, and I'm proud to share with you, our almost live offering number 76. Whew, those numbers are getting big, but I love it. And tonight, we're going to offer you the Literary Cabaret from the Vancouver Writers Festival from last year. And I'm going to welcome into the space VocalEye's very own Sarah, who was a part of the Writers Festival. I shouldn't say is a part of the Writers Festival. So Sarah, welcome to the space.
Thank you so much, Amy. It's really cool to be on this side.
I was gonna say, how does it feel to be on this end instead of on the I don't know, I don't want to call it the back end, but the tech end, the admin end?
It's a similar yet different stress. So I hope I do okay.
Well, we'll make this as as least stressful as possible for you. So I mean, like, jump on right in and tell us about the Writers Festival. It's local to Vancouver here. When was it? What's your involvement?
Yeah, so again, thank you so much for having me. And I think on behalf of the entire team, it's just a big privilege to be here and to be able to converse with you. So the Vancouver Writers Fest was founded in 1988, and since then we've had 3 artistic directors. So first was the founding artistic director, McLeod, then we had Hal Wake, and now we have Leslie Hartig, with whom I work. So our offices are located on this, it's called an island, but it's actually a peninsula, and it's called Granville Island. I know that our audience comes from a very far range of places, and for those who have never been here, Granville Island is full of shops, stores, but also artists and their studios, and some organizations like theaters operate from there as well. If you're from the United States, it's kind of like Pike Place Market in Seattle, and in Toronto there is this place called 401 Richmond, which is like a huge warehouse full of studios. So it's kind of like a mixture of that. And every year we have a flagship festival in the 3rd week of October, and it is all located within various venues on the island. So you don't have to go far. It's just, steps away from the next event. And over the past 35 years now, we've invited folks like Zadie Smith, Malcolm Gladwell, Salman Rushdie, Essie Adujan, to come and speak to our audiences about the work that they do. And and my role there is I am the programming coordinator. So I do help Leslie with programming the year. We do have year-round events. But usually around this time of every year, we're getting pitches and more books to consider for the October festival. So although we're talking about last year, we're thinking about this year as well. So it's never stopping.
October is not really that far away when you think about how fast we went from. I know, right? I know nobody wants to admit it, but it's true. So Sarah, we've got a few minutes left, and this is a recording of the event that we're gonna watch through. And so what are we gonna experience with this?
Yeah, so this is the Literary Cabaret. So this is going to be around 90 minutes of readings. So usually we have discussions, but this is just one author after the other being introduced by our musical director, Sally Zori. And Sally is going to weave in a story by Christine Quintana called The Seed. And it's very seamless. I really, really like it. But the cool part of it is that the reading is done with musical background. So this is, as Leslie would say, more of a performance than just a reading at an audience. So we're going to be going into Performance Works, which is a theater on the island. And we're going to be sitting and watching these 6 amazing authors speak about their books.
And so, just for some context, it's pretty much what we're witnessing is an author at a podium, microphone, reading an excerpt from their book. There are 6 authors, I believe.
Yes, there are 6 authors. And
then there's some musical stuff that happens and some other fun stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. And then right at the beginning of the video, actually, before we get to that, I want to ask you about the pandemic. Before we describe the first image of the video. But so how was the Writers Festival in October, just this past October, impacted by the pandemic, or was it? Because this is a live event.
So this is a great question, Amy, because I think since we talk a lot about the visual and the performing arts, one thing about the literary arts is that it's actually easier translated onto Zoom, right? Because it's technically text. And if we're talking about a conversation, it's quite easy than looking at a sculpture or looking at a dance piece. So that aspect, I think, has been quite good. But another aspect is that for a festival, it really helps to be in person. So in 2020, at the height of the pandemic, everything was moved online. And then 2021, last year, we had a hybrid system where we had some events in person, some online, some where one author is there in person, and then we had a screen for their peers to be shown on. So so lots of people actually said that it was a very emotional experience, especially here in this event where it was 100% in person, to actually be in a space again with friends and loved ones to listen to these stories. And we had a great showing. I did some counting, and it was about 3,000 folks on the island during that week. Yeah.
Fantastic. And we've just hit the 7:00 Pacific time mark. So there's an opening sort of still image to music. And I just thought I'd get you to share with us what that is so folks aren't confused, but the rest of it really is, as it sounds, folks reading into a podium. And if you hear music, it's I think that there's some live music that gets played as well as the musical backing. So but what's this opening image? Because there's some text there too, so maybe you can just
so we shared some of the events in December for the holiday season. So what you'll see is this image of a fireplace and some stockings, I think, as
the old Yule log. Yeah.
And then we do have some festive music in the background. So that's just to introduce this during that month. And then immediately we'll be brought back into the theater space, and then you will hear the musical director invite us in.
Awesome. So it's really just a placeholder. So if you miss it, not a big deal. It's not part of the content of what we're going to experience tonight. Okay. I love it. And you're joining us for the Q&A afterwards, right, Sarah?
Yes, I am.
Wonderful, my friend. All right, folks, I hope you're ready to sit back and enjoy these the Literary Cabaret, which is 6 excerpts from 6 authors and some music peppered in there. Rick, when you're ready, will you please play Literary Cabaret from the Vancouver Writers Fest?
Due to copyright restrictions, this feature presentation has not been recorded. Please check below for more information, including links to the material if it is hosted elsewhere.
All right, everyone, welcome back. That was super interesting. We're going to welcome Sarah back into the space. Hello, Sarah.
Hi, Amy.
Oh, gosh, so many good moments in there. Friends in the audience, I would love to invite you to share moments that were resonant with you, things that really stuck, things that you have questions about. I just want to hear your opinions of what we heard tonight. Sarah, I wonder about for you, do you have a favorite piece out of these 6 authors?
I love each of them, but I will say the very last one that we heard from Gary Barwin, Gary brought along his own soprano saxophone.
Yes.
And I think that is really cool. He comes to us over here from Ontario. So he took his soprano sax with him. I love the soprano sax, and it's one of those instruments that we just don't get to hear enough of. So he played his own intro and the outro as you heard. And he's just really, really funny. And I really liked that one out of all of the ones that I really liked.
I know there were moments for me in all of them. A couple of the storytellers talked about moments in war. And I have this strange feeling sort of deep down in my soul that I was a soldier at war at one time, like in a reincarnated life. And so anytime there's material around, particularly World War I or World War II, I find that very resonant, and I can't really put it's very visceral for me.
Okay.
So those for me were really powerful. And then of course I love Christa Couture. I love her, and I got to work with her early in the pandemic on something that Plan did, Plan Disability. She did The Power of Disability and read an excerpt from one of her books there too. So I'm a big fan of hers.
Yeah, she's amazing. And she also, she's a musician. So this was her field. So this is amazing.
Yeah, no, the story that she told about how many children do you have, and really made me rethink that question when I ask it of folks. And I don't often get a chance to ask it of folks because normally you're with people that you know, or I'm with people that I know, but it is like the how did you get your disability question? You know what I mean? Like, you just don't know what kinds of things trigger people, and it could seem like the most benign everyday question, and it's triggering. So We've got a hand from Louise. So Louise, I invite you to unmute yourself, share your comments, ask your questions. Give Louise a moment to unmute.
Okay, I got it. I got
You
it.
got it? You got it.
Okay, I love them all, but I will say I love the one, the children one, because it hits a soul of any person. Even if my 3 sons are still alive, it still, as a parent, it hit deep within the wound. It hurt my heart for her losses.
Mhm.
And it wasn't just her losses that it hit. It hit that part of, how do you share your story? And I think many times, as a person with a disability, oh yeah, blindness is obvious, but sometimes you just want to be invisible. And I felt her invisibility in that story. Like, I want to stay quiet. I don't want to share I had any kids. There's days that she felt like she could talk.
Yeah.
And I think if you looked at it as a person with a disability, there's days we don't want to share. We don't want to talk about our disability. We want to stay quiet and have a day of rest and heal and be ready for that next time that maybe someone special needs to hear our story.
Thank you for that, Louise. A lot to reflect there. Yeah, it was and I don't have any children, but it made my body ache.
Well, I mean, I was feeling the lump of.
I was thinking of you during that story too, Louise, because I was like, this is going to get Louise right in the heartstrings. I know it. So
yeah, but it's a bad thing. You can feel, because I've lost a lot of weight, so I feel the belly of where my kids were born. You know, and it's funny. It's just, no matter if they're alive or dead, their stories. You know, there's times you don't want to talk about one of them for a reason, or you don't want to share a story about one of your children because maybe they've done something you're just not happy with and you don't want to share it.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Louise, for sharing that, for being vulnerable. Appreciate that. Okay. Tilo, how about for yourself? You want to unmute and ask questions or share comments?
Hi, this is Tilo. I resonate with all of them too, but I think the one that really got me was the one about the boy in Iraq. For one thing, I know for a fact in many different of my lives, I was a soldier because I've done past regression therapy. So I understand that part of myself and that. So it really resonate, but I like everything. And it was interesting with the different types of music that was accompanying it, and I noticed it was just like one instrument, hardly, 2 instruments or more in there, because it was well in the background, to the point it didn't take your thought away from whoever was speaking in that story. And I thought that was well done.
So you felt like the music really supported the words?
Yes, it helped me to concentrate a little bit more on the words more than the background music.
Yeah.
If I listen to this, 2 or 3 times, maybe I might listen to the background music a little bit more. But the whole point was the words.
Yeah, it kind of set up an environment,
Yes.
Yeah.
I like the environment very much.
Thank you, Tila. I think that's very, very nice of you to share that.
And I got one other comment, is the foul language they used was well done in well placed places. It was not overdone. So that was really good, for the storyline.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that very much.
Thank you, Tilo. Okay, we've got a hand from Lori, then from Megan, and then from Betty. So we'll do Lori.
Okay, I liked 2 of them really well. I would say the one from the lady who had the story about the children, it made me think of my younger sister, because she has lost an adult child and had 3 miscarriages during her life.
Wow.
So it made me think of her on the loss that she's had in her life with her children. The second one, I really liked the one about the comic and how he, had to go and learn how to be a comic. And that was, he had a funny story and everything. So I really enjoyed him also. And what he had, how he, did the time to spend to, to have a good comic, his 10 minutes of comic time up on stage, So, so those are the two best, but I did like the music at the end of the last one. I was sitting here tapping my feet on the floor with the sax.
Catchy beats.
With the sax going. I was tapping my feet to it.
I have to tell you that, and I so in the story about the comedy that you were talking about, Lori, I actually worked with, and I know his name is David Grenier, who does stand-up comedy. Stand Up for Mental Health is what his business is called. And it's folks who identify with a mental health challenge that are refocusing or expressing themselves through comedy. So he taught a comedy workshop to a group of folks with disabilities, and we made a show out of it called Comedy on Wheels. So I worked with him quite intimately on some of that stuff. So it was great to sort of hear that he was still doing stuff in the world. I love that. Thanks, Lori, for your comments.
Welcome.
All right, Megan, you're up, my friend. And then we'll go to Betty. So we'll give Megan a moment to unmute. Just give Megan a moment. As we wait in awkward silence. Sarah, do you have any control over, as the program, as somebody who helps put these programs together, of the order of the story? And can you speak to how important it is to put them in the right order so that they have the most impact on the audience?
You bring up a very important point here, is that in this particular event, I do believe the order of things is actually determined by the musical director. So Sally during the summer will get all of these 5 to 6 books, and they'll read through all of them and then basically compose a score, which I think is amazing. And I think because of the way that the score is created, I think that's how the order is determined. But this is one of those things where Leslie would pick the books, and then the coming together of things would actually be done mostly by the musical director.
That's really cool. I say we're going to go on to Betty's hand, and we'll come back to Megan if she maybe is having some technical difficulties. But let's go to Betty, and then we'll go to Christy Braley.
Thanks, Amy. I thought it was wonderful variety. All of the stories were so very different. I was also very touched by the story about a woman talking about the children, and then so glad in the end of the story there was a little girl that that person could cherish. That was very special. But believe it or not, my my favorite one, and maybe this is no surprise to most of you, was the one about the drama teacher. I totally cracked up all through that one. I guess because I'm old and because I'm a teacher, maybe that's why it resonated with me. But it really was terribly very funny. But something happened right in the most important comedy part of the comedy story, and my internet died, and by the time I got back on Zoom I didn't hear. So it was just when the girl came on stage and said she had been a nun for 20 years. So if anybody remembers that joke and can share it with me, I really do want to know what she said. But anyway, I mean, it was very funny, the story about making the toilet into a holy kind of relic and stuff like that. That was very well done. I was very impressed also with the cultural diversity that was part of the program, because that was really awesome as well. You know, the first one about the immigrant ship and the one about the soldier in Iraq. You know, I
Mhm.
think sometimes we think that, you know, we're the only people that suffer, and of course that's just so not the case. And so I have never participated in the Writers Festival at all, and I think I'm going to really try to be there in October because that was amazing.
Thank you so much.
That's lovely. Maybe we'll have to make a group VocalEye outing of it. You never know. Stay tuned.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much.
It's really, really lovely for you to share that with us, Betty. Christy.
Hi, Sarah. The story was well done. I liked it because it was over music, and I think stories are better when they're like that.
Oh.
Is there any possible way that I could actually get this story somewhere?
That's a great
Sarah,
question.
shall we let them in on the secret a little early? Let's do it.
Sure. Would you like to say it, Amy, or should I?
Well, why don't you start?
Okay.
And I'm back up for you.
Okay, great. Thank you. So first of all, thank you so much, Christy. So I did a little bit of research, and the great news is all 6 of these books do have their audiobook editions out. So we'd love to, here at VocalEye, we'd love to give everybody the opportunity, if you do want to pick up one of these books, just to send me an email. I think I could drop my email in the chat where you can ask Steph or Donna what book you'd like, and you'll also get an info sheet that comes out tonight or tomorrow with more links and information on each of these authors, so you can read a little bit about the blurbs of what these books are about, and then just send me an email, and we'll definitely connect you with one of the books that you'd like.
And so Sarah's contact will be circulated in the follow-up email where we ask you what your experience is and all that kind of stuff. So if folks are interested in a copy of one of these, we may have to do a lottery system if there's an overwhelming amount of folks that want a book, but email Sarah with your interest and we'll see what we can do. Okay. So if you're interested in one of these storytellers, Sarah is the go-to person for that. Okay, we have another hand and it's Karim. So Karim, why don't you go ahead and unmute yourself?
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Karim.
Hi, yeah, thanks for giving me the invite for the Writers Festival last October.
Thank you. We were so excited that you could attend some of the events. And I don't believe you went to the Lit Cab, so it's nice for you to also enjoy this tonight.
Yes, I was going to say that. Yeah, I was going to say that tonight's presentation was different from the ones I attended because they were more discussions with the author, no real readings. Right? And as far as your little surprise about the books being available, I have read What a Strange Paradise by Omar Akkad.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, and it's actually available on Sila and as an audiobook and narrated by Omar Akkad himself.
Wonderful.
Oh.
Wonderful. For folks who don't know, Sila is our Center for Equitable Library Access here in Canada.
Yes.
So folks in the States may have to find it somewhere else, but
Yeah,
it may be in a digital library.
Yeah, it's available on Bookshare as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Karim.
Yeah, but I think the Bookshare version is not narrated by Omar Akkad.
And what was your experience like being with authors, like talking about their work? How was that different?
Some of it was good and others was strange because some of the ones stayed on their book and their inspiration for the book and the story, and others did not. It went completely off the rails.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it was like they were talking more about their life and other things than the book.
So it was author's choice almost.
Well, it was a it was the author and like an interviewer
Yeah.
discussion. So it was the interviewer was leading the questions, and sometimes there was like no questions about the book and just about the author's life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like having sessions like this where we get to hear, I mean, I love it when we play audio plays, and I love it when we get to hear authors read their stories. And those, for me, it's like sitting back and relaxing and, just enjoy a listening experience. So I love that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Krim, for sharing.
Thank you.
We're going to go to Megan, and then we'll go to Sharon.
Yes. I love the whole thing. The war story is quite amazing, because I remember in World War I, my grandpa, actually, I was a mechanic in the war, but also my gran and my granddad had to live through World War I in that area. So
World War I or World War II?
I think
probably World War II. You're probably around my age, I would imagine.
Yeah.
My grandfather was in World War II as well, and he just died a couple years ago at the age of 92. So World War I would make them very, very old. 120.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So World War II, yeah.
Okay.
Whew.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Megan.
You're welcome.
It's heavy when we have family members that fought for our country, for our democracy. It's very timely with what's happening in the world right now. And so thank you for sharing that. Sharon, my friend, you're up.
Can you hear me? Am I unmuted?
We gotcha.
Oh, great. So two quick things. One is, it's interesting. The Mona's book, All's Well, I had started listening to the audiobook, but the author, maybe not surprising, I thought she was actually better narrator than the narrator in the audiobook. So it made me think I need to go back and keep reading it, because it was for a book club and I sort of didn't get as far as but I basically had read that chapter, and she did a great job reading it. And I was just curious. So thank you for that. It was really sort of nice to see her and hear her. And I was curious, in the very last one with the klezmer music, did the musical director write that music?
That's a really great point you make, Sharon. I do believe so, but I will say that Gary Barwin does have a PhD in music composition. So I'm not really sure if there was any collaboration there. But since he did bring his own instrument to join in the band, I'm sure there were feedback at the very least, back and forth. So yeah.
That was wonderful. I love klezmer.
Nice
that
treat.
Was great. Thank you. It was a very nice treat.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. Awesome. Lots of exciting things. What's coming up with the next Writers Festival, Sarah? Anything you can share?
Yeah, I mean, well, last year, as everybody knew, we did have some variance in the pandemic. So we were actually operating at 50%. So this year, if things go well, fingers crossed, we'll be operating at 100%. And one of the things that I actually missed last year was we turned all of the youth events into online events. So technically speaking, that week, in the third week of October, in the daytime, buses and buses of school children are supposed to come to the island. So I've gotten a sneak peek of it with some other events recently, and children are very excited to be outside. So I can't wait to see that part. But we will have a guest curator as usual, and we will have at least 70 some events like last year, and hopefully most of them will be in person. Just wanted to note that the Lit Cab is a recurring event. So it's one of those events that will run every year, and it has run, I think, since the very first year. So we'll have another slate.
Years.
Yeah, exactly. And we can't wait to welcome hopefully some folks from tonight's show.
I think that would be outstanding. I'm wondering about folks. How do I ask this question? In terms of the authors that are chosen, to be a part of the festival? Do you have to, I mean, can you be an emerging author? Do you have to be a really established author?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we definitely do have many events and spots for emerging authors. One of the things that helps us pick everybody is the publishers' pitches. So usually what happens is we have pitch meetings where publishers, big and small, independent, will meet with us and then pitch to us the upcoming books. So many first time writers, emerging writers that actually span different genres get picked. And then we sometimes get some books sent to us to get a sample of the writing style. And I think that the really hard work is after we pick, we have to think about how to, form the groups, right? Form the conversation. So that's the main fun that comes in the summertime.
Does that mean that you have read all of the books from all of the authors that were presented at at the October Festival?
So we try to. We definitely will.
We divvy them up.
We try to do it as much as we can before the festival. I will say that there were a couple of books that I didn't finish until after. But yeah, we do get pitched, I would say, hundreds, if not 1,000 books a year. So so it really helps when the publicist gives us what they're excited about, and we read reviews. And as you'll see, some of these authors are returning authors, so we know them quite well as well.
And how many authors were chosen for this last festival?
That is a really great question. I should know this. I think we were at 100 and maybe 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a lot of work, my friend. A lot of work.
Have a great team.
I can only imagine a team of avid readers, which is also very lovely. In fact, you all would be great on a trivia team, I imagine.
We would.
Well, Sarah, it's been great having you as a guest in the space. That's been really exciting, and to share with us a little bit about the Writers Festival. But before we actually say goodbye, we have a prize draw, and it's a swag bag from the Writers Festival. So tell us what's in the swag bag.
Okay, so we have a pretty large cotton tote. On the tote is the artwork and logo from last year's fest. We have a coffee mug also with artwork from last year's fest. And we have Amy, please tell me how to pronounce this. Is it toque or toque or beanie?
It's toque or a beanie if you're in the States, but it's a toque in Canada.
Okay, cool. And it's black knit, and it does have the logo, I'm guessing, embroidered on it. So those 3 items.
Awesome. And we will ship those to you folks if you're the winner of this raffle prize on behalf of the Writers Festival. So let's bring Donna into the space with our bag of names, a tote bag of names. Not the Writers Fest tote bag, because Donna's joining us from the future.
Art gallery. Ooh, very nice.
But art gallery?
All right. I've got the names.
All right, Sarah, when you're ready.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. I think I might say Lit Cab.
Lit Cab. And the winner is Ruth Bieber.
Woo! Congratulations, Ruth. You've won the swag bag. We'll make sure that we connect with you offline just to make sure we've got the right address and everything, and it'll be shipped to your door. Awesome, friends. Thanks so much, Sarah, for bringing us the Lit Cab. That sounds like it should be a body piercing, but I know it's short for Literary Cabaret from the Vancouver Writers Festival. And I look forward to seeing the Writers Festival again in this space and future years, and of course being there in person. So thank you so much for bringing this to our lovely little VocalEye virtual platform.
Thank you, Amy. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you, and thanks everyone. Good night.
VocalEye, vocaleye.ca. Special thanks to our funders, the Canada Council for the Arts, the British Columbia Arts Council, the Province of British Columbia, and the City of Vancouver.